Hi, welcome to our podcast. This is the first episode of our grooming-focused podcast called On the Move with Kontota. My name is Dillyn. I'm the marketing lead here.
My name is Kalli, and I'm a groomer.
We also have her dog, Losi, here.
Yes.
Probably won't be able to see her. I guess we'll just get right into it. First, we're going to talk a little bit about grooming expectations versus the reality. So the first question is, why do some dogs come out looking different than what their owners expect?
I actually have a good story with this. What a lot of people don't realize is as their dog gets older, their hair is going to change. A good story that fits this question is I had a mini poodle, and he was a couple months old, and his hair was really thick, really fluffy, very light, and she gave me the picture that she wanted. And I was able to do the groom exactly like the photo, but as we progressed and as he got older, his hair got thinner and it wasn't as tight and curly, and she was expecting that same groom, that same haircut each time. And I had to explain to her, like, he's getting older, it's not going to be as fluffy, it's not going to be as
like
full and nice, because as they get more mature, their fur gets a little bit straighter around their face, not as full. So sometimes that can happen. If you start getting your puppy groomed when they're younger, they're going to look different as they get older. And then
this was a dog that you had been grooming?
Yeah, it's one of my regulars.
You're doing one haircut, and the customer wanted the same haircut
yes,
each time.
And he actually looks complete, like his fur got lighter, because when they're puppies, they're first dark. And as they get older, it gets less fluffy and more light and straight.
Yeah, it just can't hold the shape as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I guess with some breeds, you look up your photos. We have a lot of clients who send photos that they want to follow for their haircut, and then they give us their dog. Their dog is the exact same breed, but depending on breeding and everything, really depends on how their hair is, and so a lot of times that can affect the outcome.
Each dog is different too.
And you could have the same breed, different colors, different coat types, so it really depends on their coat type.
And then also it depends on the condition of the dog's coat.
Exactly. Like they might have dry skin, or like their fur might be thinner, or they might
or just like matting too. Like a lot of customers I know, they'll swear that they are brushing their dog, and sometimes they are brushing their dog, but it's not always all the way to the skin, and then there ends up being matting closer to the skin, so then they might still have to be shaved. If you have to shave chunks out, sometimes the haircut they want just isn't going to look right.
Or we might need to go shorter than they expected. Like a lot of times with shave downs, nobody really likes shave downs, and I know it's hard to get through shave downs. But in order to get all the mats out, make your dog comfortable, and start fresh, you can really get the coat that you want. If you start fresh and then brush it out as it grows out, that'll prevent the matting, because if you get a dog with long hair, it's hard to maintain the mat. It's easy to maintain it as you brush it as it grows out, and then we can keep it.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but I was just thinking, this is related. Like, I know that whenever we get like a lot of new customers that have puppies, specifically like golden doodles or like dogs with that similar coat, they'll say, oh, like the breeder told me not to get them groomed for 5 months or 6 months, but then we get the puppy and it ends up having to be shaved. Is it just that like the owners aren't brushing their dogs, or do you think they should be getting their dog groomed sooner than
I think I would typically say 6 months for a doodle is way too long to wait. I would suggest waiting 4 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks is like your typical doodle, because with the doodle hair, it gets matted. You could be brushing it every day, and if you miss one day, then it could change everything. It could create a mat. And so it's really important with doodles to keep on top of it. A lot of people don't realize, like when they have the doodles or the poodle mixes, that they really have to brush it every day to maintain the coat, or the mats will just catch up to you. And I've had clients say, oh my gosh, we had no idea, or they brush them every day and it's just they miss that one day or the 2 days, or something happens, and then it just
I think like
skyrockets from there.
It's tough also because golden doodles and like poodle mixes are getting
so
right
popular
now.
I have one.
And I know that a majority of the people buying these dogs, probably they have the intention to take care of them. But I think there's just also a lot of misinformation out there and like mixed guidance on what you should be doing. And especially if, you know, there's maybe not people who are so responsible, like breeding these dogs, just trying to
Right.
sell them. It could
Right.
be like even spreading that like lies, like saying they're low maintenance or like you don't have to get them groomed all that often.
Right.
Or so I'm sure that contributes to it as well. But that's the great thing about taking your dog to a professional, because they
Exactly.
can
Or
tell
having
you.
somebody come to your house to have
Yeah.
them groomed so you don't have to do all the extra to get your dog in the car.
Yeah.
Because I know getting in cars causes dogs a lot of anxiety, and then you have to figure out time of your day. It's nice for us to come to you.
And then you have somebody to trust, because you have a bunch of regular customers. You know exactly what their dog is in their coat type.
And then they get
You can
really
tell the
comfortable
owner.
once you get your regulars, you find a groomer with us that you really like, and then your dog will get excited. Like a lot of my regulars see me at the door and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go. And then we can connect with the customer too and have a really good understanding of how their coat type is, what their haircut is, what they're expecting, and we can do it every time.
Yeah.
Help maintain it.
Yeah, awesome. So the next question, I guess specifically, what factors determine whether a dog can get the haircut the owner wants? I know you already talked about this. If you can give like, to your knowledge, I guess, what are like the top 3 things you would say that are most important?
Most important in
like determining if a dog can get the haircut that the owner is wanting.
Okay. For example, I guess double-coated dogs, a lot of clients come in wanting their double-coated dog shaved, and that's their expectation for their haircut, or matting, or just the hair type doesn't fit the type of style that they want. And so you have to do either a breed-specific haircut for that dog, or with the shave downs, we don't do shaving on double-coated dogs because it ruins their fur. I have a lot of clients come in and say, yeah, just shave it all off because you shed so much. We have to explain.
Your dog's still going to shed. That's just going to be very tiny hairs.
It's going to shed.
And harder to
And then now that it's
up.
shaved, his coat's not going to be as pretty as it grows out. Like the longer might grow out a little bit more, and the shorter hair underneath it isn't going to grow back full, so he's going to look scraggly like a terrier's hair if you do it.
And then we'll have customers who have been getting their double-coated dog shaved, and they're like, it's never been an issue. And it's true that it doesn't always cause an issue, but sometimes it is. You shave them once and then that ruins it. Sometimes it's them being shaved over a long period of time.
Exactly.
And so it's not like if you shave your double-coated dog immediately, like the fur is never going to grow back.
Right.
We have a lot of older dogs that have been shaved their entire life, and like they have to continue being shaved just because their coat does not, it's so patchy.
Yes, if you shave the double-coated dog, most likely for the rest of their life, they're going to have to maintain that shaved look, because it's not going to be the same, and every time continuously it's going to keep changing.
And of course, it's like case by case too. I'm sure there are some dogs
there
that
are
might
some
have
rare
like a
expectations
condition
that
or something where it's better for the dog. If it's better for the dog to be shaved, then you know we're not gonna refuse that, because it's all about doing the best thing for the dog. But in general, especially when customers are expecting like shaving their lab to reduce the shedding, like it might a little bit at first, but in the long run, it's worse for the dog. That's why we advise against that. So the next topic is how owners can help make grooming easier. So what are some things owners can do at home to keep their dog's coat in good shape between appointments?
Brushing. I would really push brushing upon either if your dog is double coated, if it's a doodle, a poodle. Keeping them brushed and maintaining it will make the groom go a lot better and will reduce the chance of having to do a shave down. Brush.
Please brush your dog.
A lot of people ask me like, oh, what kind of brushes do I need to use? PetSmart will have like slicker brushes, anything that you need, and they're relatively cheap. Just brushing them once a day will really help with grooming.
And also like Amazon, if customers aren't sure, if you ask your groomer, they can give you plenty of recommendations. Like they'll even send you specific links on Amazon, so you can just order brushes, and they're not, like Kaylee said, they're not anything crazy. They're pretty basic grooming tools. What about like stuff outside of brushing? Is there anything like, for example, nail trimming? I know we do that in all the appointments, but is there ever a need for owners to be keeping up with their dog's nails in between appointments?
Depending on how far apart you spaced your grooming, doing nail trims yourself also will really benefit. Because if you wait too long, their nails are going to grow out. If you keep maintaining it while you're at home, it'll make it easier to keep up with it, and then they don't get the long curly nails. Because as their nails grows out, their quip will grow out as well. And then if you wait 2-3 months between appointments and their quip gets longer, then we aren't able to go short as you may want to go.
Because it could injure the dog if you cut it too short. I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot because it is so easy to forget about that because your dog, unless they get super long, which we have seen that, and they start curling into the paw pattern or causing pain, a lot of times you're not going to really notice, especially if your dog has longer fur, because it's going to cover up the nails, and it takes a long time for that to become an issue. The groomer will trim them as short as they can without hurting the dog, and the customer will be like, did you even trim them? And it's, your dog's quick is really long. And so we can only trim the nail as short as the quick is long. So the longer you wait in between nail trims, the longer that quick is going to get.
Exactly.
And then your dog's nails, that can be reduced over time also, right?
If you keep working on it at home, keep pushing it back at home, and then we keep rounding them out during the groom, it will push back the quip so that we can get the dog's nails to your desired length.
Why is it important for dogs to be introduced to grooming at a young age?
Ooh. A lot of times you'll get a dog that may have never been groomed before or isn't used to it. And so that prolongs the grooming experience. It makes the grooming experience stressful for the dog. If you introduce them at a young age, they can get used to everything. Also, this ties back into what you can do at home in between. If you grab their paws, mess with their paws, just kind of mess with them, get them used to being touched, on their legs, their front paws especially, and around their muzzle. It will make that grooming experience go a lot easier for them because they'll be familiar with the process, and their haircuts come out better. They come back happy. It's just a better experience for them in the van.
We'll have customers bring their puppy for their first grooming appointment, and of course they're expecting for their puppy to be able to receive everything, full haircut, nail trimming. Sometimes it takes a little while until the dog's comfortable.
It will take a time, but introducing them when they are young, they're going to be crazy.
That's why
for their first groom.
It's so important, because if you wait, the bigger they get, the older they get, the harder it is to condition them. And so if they just grow up being in that environment, when they're adults, it'll be super easy.
Yes, actually, the dog that I was talking about at the beginning of the episode was one of my regulars. He's a little poodle, and I started grooming him when he was a puppy. He was crazy when he was a puppy, so excited. Oh, what are you doing? So into everything. And then now, I think I've groomed him for over a year. He has changed significantly. He loves it. He wags his tail the whole time. He sits calm. He lets everything happen, and it just makes the groom go by easier for him.
I think a big issue we see too is dogs just being really stressed to get groomed. So that's another thing to consider.
They don't know what's happening. Everything's new to them.
And so when you introduce your dog to it at a young age, that reduces that stress later on in life. And it's just, if they're older, it takes a lot longer for them to get used to that. And so sometimes they have to be on medication or something, and that's just not, it can be avoided.
Yeah.
So if you have a puppy.
Sometimes though, I know this is maybe off subject a little bit, sometimes we'll get dogs who have had bad experiences with grooming, and they had been groomed regularly in their life. Yeah. And so then you just need to work with them, take your time, just for them to have a good time. Treats also really help.
Yeah.
And if you have treats that you can give us during the groom, we'll give them the treats just to get them used to everything, take our time. That also might prolong the groom longer than you think, but it's just because we want to make sure that they're comfortable, that they're going to get used to it again.
Also, can you talk a little bit about, I know some customers specifically, with the mobile grooming, they'll ask if they can watch the grooming, and we tell them no, because it's a liability issue and a safety issue. But more specifically, I know that a lot of times dogs will behave differently in the van if there are parents there versus if it's just them and the groomer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's a great question. A lot of times, I've gotten a lot of clients ask if they can be in the van. Getting the dog in the van whenever you're around your parent, your dog is going to be very protective of you. They're going to come to you as a comfort. They're going to try to get away from us or whoever just so they can be with their parent. And a lot of times the parents see, oh, my dog looks really stressed. He's shaking a little bit. He's scared to go into the van or start to get his groom. And we always tell them, like, once the parent is gone, it's amazing. Like, the dog is okay, like, it's going to be okay. My safety blanket. That's how you can describe the pet parents. It's like a safety blanket for them. And having the parent in the van might cause your dog to have more anxiety. It gets them used to having that one-on-one experience instead of being, I don't want to say coddled. I think
they're going to be like focused on their
exactly.
owner, on the pet parent, because that's who they're familiar with. So, I mean, once the owner leaves and the dog is allowed to be alone with the groomer, then that forces the dog to realize, okay, like, this is actually a safe situation. Right. Nothing's happening to me. Everything's okay. And that allows the groomer and the dog to start bonding. Cool. Let's see.
Come here. Do you want to say hi?
Oh my gosh.
There she is. She's a little stinky so right now.
So the next part is about understanding the grooming process for pet parents. What happens behind the scenes at a grooming appointment that owners might not realize?
I think that goes back a little bit to the last question too. Appointments may go longer if your dog is just a little bit nervous about the process, and so we have to take our time to get them used to that and make sure that they're comfortable. We take lots of cuddle breaks, again, to bond with us so that they get more used to it. Or if it's a matting situation, it's probably going to take a little bit longer to assess the mats, to shave the mats. So sometimes that might prolong it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can happen also with drying, depending on your dog's fur coat. Like a lab is going to take a lot shorter time than a Great Pyrenees.
Yeah.
It almost doubles that time. And a client might have both of those dogs and they might give us the lab, get them done real quick, and then it takes almost twice that time while we're working on the other one because it's also a haircut. And it really depends on fur type, the way the dog is acting.
Yeah.
If like their nails are a little bit longer, it might take us longer to get them down, or like you're plucking their ear hairs or cleaning out their ears if their ears are extra dirty, then everything's going to take a little bit longer. Yeah, it really depends on the dog, the hair, everything.
I would want to mention too, if you might, let's say you have a lab and you might be able to bathe your dog at home in 30 minutes, but you're not de-shedding probably. Most people aren't going to be de-shedding, completely drying their dog with a blow dryer, brushing, cleaning the ears, trimming the nails, brushing the teeth. So there's just some extra steps that we do in the grooming process to make sure that the dog is getting the full experience, because this is a higher end service that we're providing.
It isn't all about get in, get the groom done, and get out. We are spending time with your dog and we are bonding with your dog to make sure that they're comfortable and that when we come back, they're going to want to do it again.
Yeah. I've heard from other groomers that if it's a new dog and they're unfamiliar, that first maybe 15 minutes of the appointment, they'll just spend time with the dog, getting the dog comfortable, maybe sitting on the floor with it.
Yeah, we have like little squeaky toys or little toys just to get them comfortable with us before we do anything.
So that adds time to the process, obviously. And this is the last question. We talked about this, but why does grooming take a certain amount of time, and what affects how long it takes?
Behavior, what they're used to, how far they can go with things, the type of haircut that they're going to get, because sometimes it might be a lot more complicated. A poodle haircut, clean face, clean feet, is going to take a little bit longer than just a doodle haircut. It depends on the haircut, the way they act, and then bonding time, and just the quality of the haircut, the teeth, the nails.
Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to mention, or we have a little bit of time, so
we do have a little bit of time. So with maintaining at home in between appointments, a lot of times I'll get customers, you don't have to get a haircut every time. If you want to do like a haircut and then a bath and a mini trim, that will also help maintain mats for the next appointment instead of waiting 6 weeks to do a haircut. If you do a haircut, a bath, and a mini trim, we'll clean up like the extra hairs around their eyes, brush them out really good, get all those mats out, so when they do get their haircut, their fur isn't going to be matted, and it'll help maintain it in between haircuts.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's so sweet.
She's the sweetest.
How old is she?
She's almost 2. She'll be 2 in June 9th.
So she's full grown.
That's as big as she's gonna get.
Is she a mini poodle or?
She is a multi-poo.
Cute.
She's a good girl.
How much grooming does she require?
She requires a lot of grooming. I desperately need to get her done. It's been too long. She requires a lot of grooming. She requires a lot of brushing. I'm able to maintain like her longer hair because I brush her every day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it, but she does
right
get
now,
brushed
anyway,
every day.
but
Yeah.
Especially when it's longer, like the stuff down here, it tends to like kind of clump together.
And a lot of times with brushing, whenever you're brushing your dog at home, you'll think to brush just the top of it and everything. Where mats really form are behind their ears, behind their legs, like in their armpit areas, and the back of their legs. So a lot of times I feel like these spots are missed. And then when we get the dog in the van, they might be all mat free, all up on the top and everything, but then their legs are just matted. And we can't just shave their legs because they look like a little soccer ball.
And yeah, it's always up to the customer too. Like sometimes we do just do a spot shave.
Yeah.
And it might look a little patchy or like silly. And depending on the location of the mat, sometimes you can't even tell because the rest of the coat will cover it up. But that's why usually if there's like a good amount of matting, right, like y'all will usually just shave the whole dog so that it's
they'll all grow back even. It'll grow back nice and clean. You can brush it as it grows out. Because as they eat and they drink water, it's all going to get all built up all up in here. So sometimes their face might need to go a little shorter. But
cool.
I think that's all I got.
Yeah, awesome. That's it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll see Losi next time.
Yeah.